Yo guys, what is going on? It is Invin here, and today what I'm bringing to you guys is a video on some of the best money makers for the New World Heart of Madness March update. Now this update changed quite a lot of things actually. I was going to say a few, but quite a lot of things, and also brought us some brand new content to the game. And as such, this has had an impact on the economy, server-wide, and of course globally on every different server. Some things have had their increase in value massively risen, while other things are more strongly in demand right now, which I'm going to talk about a little bit of both, so that there's going to be some consistent money makers to this entire patch, and some things like you will imagine, for example, related to the Blunderbuss, that are going to be hotcakes right now and may or may not continue, but if you do want to make the most of it, you want to get on that early doors. Now, before we fully jump into today's video, if you haven't already done so and you do want to see more New World content for the brand new patch, as well as news and updates for New World, then please do drop a subscribe to the channel down below with the notification bells on. And if you do go on to enjoy this video and find it useful, then please do drop me a like on today's video, as well, as it massively helps to support the channel. Other than that, let's jump straight into it. Now, jumping into this one here, first things first, my money is pretty low right now. I have been investing in some blunderbusses and materials and, you know, craft mods, that sort of stuff, as well as getting a new set together for specifically the blunderbuss, which has been fairly costly, but hopefully this should go back up. And as you can see right here, the first thing we're going to be talking about today is the timeless blunderbuss shards. These are a minimum of 5,000 coins on my server, which is pretty good. I mean, most timeless shards sell from anywhere between 50 gold and maybe 1,000 gold for some of the more in-demand ones. Right now, the blunderbuss is blowing that out of the water, obviously because they are in scarce demand, and that means lots of people want them, but there isn't that many in the game. Now, your best places to get these are going to be your expeditions and your elite zones, and these can drop from any of the chests in the elite zones, as well as any of the chests, and indeed the mob drop loot from expeditions, whether that's regular or mutated. So you can even get that from, you know, the brand new expedition, the Tempest Heart, if you are running that as well. And these, like I would imagine on most servers, are going to be pretty high. Everyone's been telling me they're pretty high on their servers, and on mine, minimum is 5k right now, and after that it goes up to 5.4, goes up quite steeply, so you can probably make a fair bit of money if you do manage to get one of those drops, and that is of course if you don't want to use it. So if you do want to use it, you're saving yourself 5k as well, so it's always a really, really good one. Now, the next thing that you will see here in the top left is the different charms. Like I went over in my video the other day, these have not got the reinforced variants on yet. However, you will see that there is 2 orichalcum, 2 star metal, and 2 steel, which I would imagine will eventually be, one is reinforced, one is regular. However, if you go onto these, you will see that these can be fairly costly. Now, the orichalcum ones are crippling blast shot. This one is actually really, really good because blast shot is a great utility ability on the blunderbuss. For those that haven't used it, it's kind of a shot that goes forward. It can knock enemies down, and with upgrades can give a speed buff to allies as well. Now, with this, what you will see is there is a crippling version of it, and that reduces the movement speed of a target hit by it by between 5 and 19% for 5 seconds, again increasing its utility. And as such, you will see the price is pretty high. There is only a couple of these available to buy on my server, and the cheapest is 4.5k. The most expensive, or the second other available one, is 8k. So if you do get your hands on one of these, they are going to be pretty in high demand. Again, I would imagine on most servers all of these charms are going to be pretty expensive right off the bat, but this one is a great one to get. Now, the other orichalcum charm here is the one that gives us venturing claw shots. This is when claw shot connects to a target at least 10 meters away, gain 5 to 19% empower for 3 seconds or until next hit. Now, for those that haven't used claw shot, it's almost like a grappling gun. If you hit someone, it pulls you towards them. The reason this is great is because although 10 meters is fairly, you know, decently far for the blunderbuss, it's a short to mid-range weapon at most, but if you do hit somebody that is out of 10 meters, what it will do is give you, at that max gear score, 19% empower to do extra damage on your next attack, which, as I said, it drags you towards them, so you can then absolutely drill a target and really burst them down with this ability. And again, reflecting that is of course the price. So do go ahead and check all of these drops. I'm not going to go through each charm, but just there's a couple of examples there. These are super expensive. If you get one and you want to use it, perfect. I would recommend trying to get the drop because they're going to be expensive on every server right now. But if you do get one as a drop and the Blunderbuss is not something that you're personally going to be using, I would recommend selling these while they are up in price, because the likelihood is these will drop off a little bit, maybe not all the way, but a little bit within the next couple of weeks when these are more in high surplus. So the next thing here that is actually making a bit of money, at least on my server, and from what the community has told me in the comments on Twitter and in my Discord server, is the Asmodeum chisels. Now, what you will notice is these are 5,000 tokens and 250 gold. Now, they're selling for around about 370 coins on my trading post on my server. Other players from other servers have seen anywhere from 300 to 400 coins as well. So these are making a little bit of profit, and that is, of course, if you're willing to sacrifice the 5,000 tokens, essentially for maybe 70, 80 gold profit. It's not huge because obviously you've got to take into account the trading tax as well. So do be very, very careful. Don't buy them if there is a slight margin. Some servers it's worth it, some servers it's not. It's worth mentioning though, because of the brand new addition to the first 3 faction quests you do a day do give you the 5x to those faction tokens. So some of you may be stockpiling a lot of these, and it could be a decent little money maker, 50, 60 gold, but it all adds up if you are struggling for gold like myself at the moment. Now, the other thing that obviously is really good at the moment as well is, of course, your Tempest Heart Tuning Orb. If you get your hands on these, you can sell your slots in your group. So, for example, saying that you will open it and selling slots to the other required members of the group for maybe 500-600 coins each, which seems to be the going rate on my server, is about 700 coins. It only costs 450 to buy. Again, it's the 9,000 tokens that you would have to sacrifice. But if you're willing to do that, again, with the brand new system that gives you extra for your first few, it's actually a pretty good deal, and you can end up making about 2,000 to 3,000 coins just from selling slots in this expedition. And then, of course, the drops inside it, the gold that you get for killing the bosses and the mobs, it all adds up pretty quickly, and you can get a nice amount. And again, it's the same with the mutation keys, particularly if you can open the higher up ones, but even the lower down ones, people are going to want to buy a slot, providing, of course, that you can complete it. It's going to be worth it for them and for you, so you can always make money off those. I thought I'd throw it in. It's not a great way, but it is some ways that players use it to make money. And again, Lazarus and Genesis, the main reason for including this, like I said, is because of that change, making sure that you get the first 3 faction missions you do a day give you 5 times the amount of faction tokens. So for those of you that haven't seen my video covering that, the areas I would recommend for this are Reekwater, Ebonskill Reach, Shattered Mountains, or Eden's Grove, because these are all level 60 plus zones, and as such give you the most gold and the most faction tokens. Obviously, Shattered Mountains and Eden's Grove don't have any associated influence bars with them, so if you do want to do the PvP missions, for example, then Reekwater or Ebonskill can be great for that. However, it's up to you how you want to do it. Just remember that you do get bonus gold, so 10x for the first 3 per day, and you do get 5x to the faction tokens now for the first 3 per day. It's really, really good that it's been added in, so please make the most of it. It will in turn make you money and make you rich, as this video is all about. Now, the next one here is going to be something which for a lot of people is relatively obvious, and by now many players have probably picked up on this because it is something that is in very high demand, and that is going to be Orichalcum ammo. Now, particularly the arrows are pretty good because obviously they're always needed. The reason that the arrows are still good is because the stacks have been increased to a maximum of 1,000, and the weight for all ammo has been reduced to 0, so they don't weigh anything, and you can hold up to 1,000 per stack, which means players are buying lots of this up front and just holding it on them if they do use the bow or the musket, or indeed the brand new Blunderbuss. So as such, the Orichalcum cartridges here are very, very much in demand. It's the musket and the Blunderbuss that use it, especially with the double XP event we've got at the time of recording this video. There is a much higher demand for the bullets, although you have an infinite amount with base value. Lots of players do really like the 1.2x damage that these Orichalcum cartridges do give, so most players are going for that. As you can see, my engineering level is not high enough to be able to craft these, so I am having to get these from company members and friends in the game. Thankfully, at a little bit less than market value, I'm just providing the materials. But if you don't have a friend that can do that, you probably know by now, these have soared in price across pretty much every server because of the release of the Blunderbuss and the changes that I mentioned before. So if you can craft these and you are able to do so, or you're very close to being able to do so, your level's not far off, I would recommend getting there, as lots of players are snapping these up left, right and centre. Just to give you guys an idea, per bullet on my server now, the cheapest is 1.8, and there is only 520 available at that price, and then they go up to 1.87, 1.88, and gradually work their way up from there. So these are selling at a fairly decent price. Now do bear in mind that that is going to be way more expensive than it is to provide the materials. So if you've got friends and company members that can craft these for you, most servers it is much more worth crafting. But like I said, if you are someone that is able to craft it and you can get the materials in, then certainly be making these, because you're going to make a good profit whilst these are in high demand. Now another really great thing to make money is going to be going back to the crafting mods, but specifically looking at the Great Axe, the reinforced orichalcum Great Axe charm. This one is the one that allows you to get insatiable gravity well. If you've been away from the game for a while, or you're not currently sure about the current peak PvP meta, which is pretty much bruisers, so Warhammers, Great Axe users with Gravity Well, and particularly Insatiable Gravity Well on there, and Ice Gauntlets, Void Gauntlets, maybe now with the Blunderbuss in there as well, tends to be the things that you're seeing dominate PvP. And as such, you can see on the server here, these have been around for the last couple of weeks, if not couple of months, being the best thing in the game, and they are still at 1.8k per charm. Now I currently have 5 of these, so I'm considering selling a couple, just because the price is super high right now, and if you do actually have some, or you manage to grab some of these, then they're going to be super worth it, because you are going to be able to sell them for a good price. Now, on the same vein as this, like I mentioned, bruisers are super active in PvP right now. Pretty much everybody is running the Gravwell. Pretty much everybody is running Path of Destiny if they're running the Warhammer, which is most bruisers. So again, this one is right up here. It's the Reinforced Orichalcum Warhammer Charm, which gives you access to the Leeching Path of Destiny ability perk. Really, really good ability. Heal for 10 to 28%, so obviously on the high max end gear score. 28% of the damage dealt from Path of Destiny, which is almost a third, and this can do upwards of 2 to 3k damage per hit. It can hit multiple players as well, so it means you can heal and keep some self-sustain massively up. And again, as such, across my server, and I know from other players and community feedback that this is the same across them all, these are going to be high in value, and it's stuff that you may well be picking up when you're doing the arenas, the expeditions, the elite zones, all of that good stuff to try and level up your expertise with the Blunderbuss. If that is something you're trying to do, which I know many players are, then keep your eyes out for some of these charms, because they are super, super good. Now, something that you may or may not have known about this update is that all of the resistance gems in terms of elemental resistance are now in line with the amethyst gems. So when you used to get a Tier 5 cut pristine amethyst, it would provide plus 6% void damage absorption. However, the other gems of the same tier were providing less. This has been changed with this patch, so if we actually go over to the ruby and hover over that, you can see there Fire Ward 4, these now provide a plus 6%, and that is standardized across all of these tier 5 pristine gems, which is really good for particularly the mutations when you do get one that is either, you know, fire or void. But these can also be pretty useful for PvP, and you're seeing a lot of players start to pick these up for their PvP sets. And as you can see, the price of this, at least on my server, has gone up by about 70 gold in the last couple of days, and is slowly creeping further and further up. So if you do have any uncut pristine gems, or indeed you can cut them, or have a friend that can, again, get onto this whilst the price is rising, because these are seeing a lot of action. Now, one other thing to mention here with the gems is the Jasper, for example, with the Strike Ward, but also the Thrust Ward and the Slashed Ward gems have all been again increased and standardized to plus 5% at the pristine level. Resistance to that type of damage. Again, this is actually pretty good for both PvP and PvE, but of course PvP guys are picking up on this. And again, you'll see Jaspers were literally like 20-30 gold a couple of weeks ago. They've now gone up to 90. Not quite as much traction on these, but do keep an eye on them on your server, as you could see the price start to rise in these. Now, what you will also know is that this has been changed as well, the Retaliate version of the Jasper, which is why I've chose this gem, because this is deal plus 15% damage for 2 seconds after taking a hit. This is a really, really good perk, and a lot of people are sleeping on this. It's been updated with this patch, and is actually super powerful. That's plus 15% damage for 2 seconds every time you take a hit. The cooldown on that is as soon as it's off, it can go back up. So you're essentially in a war or OPR or even in a PvE environment, always going to have an extra 15% damage up with this gem on. So you definitely want to pick up a Jasper. And the reason I'm including it here for moneymakers is because a lot of people are sleeping on this right now. So you may even be able to pick some up cheap before they go up in price, or indeed get yourselves onto these before they do soar in price so that you can actually have one for your own set. Now the final thing here that is just kind of worth mentioning, as always, the daily craft things such as your Asmodeum, Runic Leather, Phoenix Weave and Glittering Ebony are of course still high up in price, especially the ones that are required to craft the Blunderbuss, which is 15 Asmodeum, 2 Runic Leather and 3 Glittering Ebony. So again, the Asmodeum in much higher demand, which means in turn the brand new smelting set that came out just a couple of weeks ago is still very high in price because it is obviously only obtainable through those tier 3 trade skill aptitude smelting caches. So again, pretty hard to come by, but if you do get your hands on a piece of that gear, it's going to sell for a lot. Equally, you may want to use it. And of course, the same goes for any Asmodeum. Make sure that you're doing your daily crafts every single day if you are someone that plays daily, because these are always going to be bought up quickly and you can make money from selling them, or indeed you can use them to make potentially a Blunderbuss or any other weapon or armor that you want to, which could in turn sell for even more than the raw Asmodeum itself. So yeah, lots of possibilities with the daily crafts as well, but it's too much to go into all of the nuances. Just know that it's worth doing every day and either sell the materials or craft them into something that's got a good perk on with a timeless shard and sell that, because you will definitely make a lot of money. But do check your server's prices. So that is pretty much going to be it for today's video, guys. Hopefully some of these methods and some of these little tips and tricks will help you to make a good bit of gold. I'm going to go away and hopefully grab some of my money back up. I was sitting around 200k and now I've got all the way back down to 4, but never fear, because obviously there is a lot of opportunities in this patch to make some good gold. If there is any that I have missed, anything that's selling really well on your server that you think would be great across all of the servers, then please do drop it in the comments down below. It'd be amazing to hear what things are selling really well. And of course, as always with these videos, don't forget to check the price specifically on your server, check your taxes, all that sort of stuff before you try and flip items or do any of the things that I've mentioned here, because it may be that the prices are not worth it on your server. So do your own research on top of this, but hopefully this is a good guide for some things that are selling right now, especially the Blunderbuss stuff. Tried to get on it early because it is probably going to drop off in a couple of weeks, but right now it's super expensive. Other than that, guys, that's going to be it. So I would like to thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, and I will catch you all again very shortly on a brand new upload. Take care and peace.